in just limited time, or are we moving into this constant cycle of just like Dark City where we're put into a new reality every time we come back to this? Is there a way to escape this? How does this relate to our out of body experiences? Are we being soul harvested? Who built this realm and why are we here? And we're going to get deep and dark into all of that with Howdy Mikowski. And he is the author of several books. We've had him on the show. We are exposing the expositions. Wow, the truth about history that is not truth, right? Falling for truth, of course, being another classic, and the power of then and the ancient Egyptian studies. But today we are looking at Exit the Cave. And Howdy is a philosopher, researcher of ancient wisdom and history. In order to stand this realm that we call our world, right? We're looking at this and we're trying to understand creation, life, death, and why the hell we are in hell. So, Howdy, welcome to the free zone.
Great to be back, Freeman, and what a terrific interview. A terrific opening to the interview. Couldn't have written anything better myself.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a fascinating topic. It's something that doesn't get discussed, and I think people should be thinking about their death a little bit more as we stare down the barrel of World War III or complete destruction of humanity through pharmaceuticals and medical
I remember the pack sandwiches.
atrocities going on. I mean, there's so many ways right now that we are staring
Shaggy
in the
sandwich.
face. And it's hard for a lot of people. They had a lot of hopes and dreams for this world, and I wonder if that's really the method that we come to this world with, or if it's ingrained in us. What do you think?
Well, we are. It's a challenging topic we're going to discuss. It's a challenging topic that I finally decided needed to be written, and for a lot of the listeners, it's going to sound negative. Like a lot of what we're saying here is going to, extremely negative, but it's there is a positive at the end of all this, and the positive is the realization of the true power, the realization of what is actually true. The problem is we are dealing with so many When we talk about the standard near-death experience, right? 85% of those who have a near-death experience have most of these elements: a white light or a tunnel, unbelievable feelings of love or peace. There's usually dead relatives, maybe Jesus or Buddha, the dead animals that they knew. They're given a life review, usually shown whether they didn't live very well, and that always you have to go back. It's not your time. You have more you need to do. You have a mission you have to complete. The person comes back and generally their life transforms. They become kinder and nicer. They usually they're more spiritual. They are more loving. They are trying to help other people. And so generally you would think this is a good thing. Look at the transformation that's happened for these people. And I 100% believe their experiences are genuine. I 100% believe what happened and their transformation is genuine. I started to realize that, but probably this experience is another trick. This experience is like a propaganda presentation where if going into the white light is the best to suck you back in here, then wouldn't you want as much good propaganda as possible to make people think, oh yeah, the light and the love, that's where I want to go. And no one is, very few are checking the non-standard near-death experiences, the 15% of them that say things like, yeah, my dead grandma was there, and then I got a little closer to her, and she wasn't grandma anymore. She was like a demonic being pretending to be my grandma. When you start getting into the ones that are really showing that a lot of this is actually a deception, we have to take a step back and say, even though someone with a near-death experience is a wonderful transformation, is that going to allow them to reach the totality of themselves? Because in those experiences, it always tends to be just like what you said, I'm giving up my own authority and my own power to something outside me that is seen as higher than us. Once we begin to see that nothing is higher than us, we are actually, we are the highest. Our deepest soul is the most powerful thing in this creation. It's more powerful even than the demiurge.
Bro.
That's the great fear the demiurge has for every single soul, you might say, that's in here, is each of us are greater than the whole system is set up to get us to turn over our power and our authority to someone else.
It seems we can make a comparison. Somebody waking up to the reality of the world today. They've been living their happy little life going on, and all of a sudden discovered, oh my God, the world is not at all what I thought it was. We've got Epstein Island, and all of a sudden they're waking up to this whole other planet that they've been living on all along, but now they see it, and you really go through the stages of grief. And what happens when your entire world is destroyed? Suddenly you've got to work through all the different processes of anger and questioning, all the way up to acceptance.
What? No
But it does
way.
seem like a philosophy like this might just lead people to say, well, why don't I just check out and try to get out now?
Yeah, I've had a few even emails of people who've read the book thinking maybe that's what I'm referring to, and 100% I'm not at all. And the reason I'm saying that is because the person's going to be ready for the tricks and the traps and the things that are there, and the contracts. That's another weird thing that we need to talk about, is these things known as soul contracts, where literally we agree to have certain things done to us in our lifetime, supposedly for our benefit, where we actually almost sign on the dotted line to be treated like garbage. And all of this there are hundreds of tricks. I've been listening to Forever Conscious Research. Mark goes through various near-death experiences and gives his commentary on them. It's fascinating to hear the vast array of experiences, and you can just see different tricks for different people. And that's the problem. We don't know what really the tricks are going to be used on us. So part of the time we are alive, and yes, try to do the best you can. I try to be as kind to other people and nature as I can. I try to be of value. I try to be of service. But now I see it even more so that a main focus has to be preparation. That every day I get is another day to prepare to find another lie, another bit of false, another deception, another possible trick, so that no matter whether this opportunity comes when I'm alive, because I think some people can leave the matrix like now. I don't think you have to wait till you're dead. There's an open, the craziness of our world is a mirror indication that there's a portal open right now, like right now. And spirits can, if you can find that portal and know and knew what to do, you could leave right now, clean, like fine, no problem. However, that's some, the rest will have the opportunity to get death experience, and we need as much preparation as we can. So if someone just checks out because the suffering is too great or thinks they want to, because I've been there, I've been at the place where I contemplated suicide really, really deeply 30 years ago. And all I can say to those people is we got to try to take in that suffering and work with it, understand it, because say, how can I use this for another bit of preparation? Because if you're at the point of suicide, that means I hate this place. That's part of where suicide comes from. It's the realization this place is a type of hell. You said that this is a hellish realm. I don't want to be here.
What?
Okay, but this killing myself will probably not get me out. It'll just put me back into the cycle, and I'll be back in here again. So that's not what you really want. You want to be able, I think, to use your time to gain so much knowledge that when opportunity appears in your experience, one way or another, live or dead, you're going to know what to do and how to take it. So again, you are in total command when the opportunities there in your own power by finding your own deep source. So I always like to make sure I say that this is about, even if it's tough, even if it's difficult. And a woman that I know who's going through cancer didn't think she'd be around very long. I didn't have my book ready yet, and none of the emails was just please like that. And I was working kind of as hard as I could with her. But she was doing unbelievable work at the time, not only on healing herself, her body, but healing her mind, healing her preparation, and now she's healed herself of the cancer, and now she's ready to go on to a totally different experience in this realm. So it's important to use even the suffering to your advantage.
Absolutely. I've often said that if you feel suicidal and if you feel like your life is just misery, then you literally can just walk out your door. I've done it. And it's a frightening thing. You can't go at it as a victim. You can't go out to the world and try to find synchronous manifestation in constant victim state, because all you're going to find is trouble if it continues to lead you that way. Because you make your own. 9 times out of 10, you engage and create your own problems. But if you're ready to just die, then why not just walk out your door and go see what life brings? It's just change everything, toss it all up in the air, and take that. My sensation.
Yeah, and like for me, I mean, I needed a little outside boost. Like when I was in that state, it was seeing the program on HD, and it was like an explosion in my mind. Of like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do with my life. And it's like the depression just ended instantaneously. Energy.
That dude has 300 damage on him. I
In
can't.
the direction that the last 25 years has taken me. So
That Iron
something
Giant
like
definitely is
something
insane.
as simple as that. It'll be like one surprising thing you weren't expecting, and it all can change instantaneously for you.
Yeah.
But I still look back at that experience when I was in that state, and I know it also wasn't false. I know I wasn't lying to myself in that state. I know I was also seeing a true level of reality. And it's also taken me something like 25 years to start analyzing. It's easy to analyze the nice parts of life. It's easy to analyze the synchronicities, the gifts, the gifts of power, the help that comes. We don't like often to dig into the difficult parts of our life, the times when life has been really tough. But there's just as many really important understandings of self and reality in there, and often those lessons are not ones we really hope to find. Those are ones that are quite disillusioning. Disillusioning meaning dropping a layer of illusion, dropping a layer of belief that you've been holding. but they're just as important as seeing a layer of what you might call positive interaction with the world. You've got to see how the world interacts negatively, and you've got to be okay with that, because you can't hide from a part of reality because you don't like it.
No, it'll keep finding you.
It'll keep finding you.
I've seen that. Yeah, we're almost in a constant state of reincarnation here. It's like jumping Jesus moments where we're just constantly having to relearn and will we listen? Will we learn? Will we blame ourselves? Right? Like if you've got the victim mentality, then of course the world's out to get you, and you never once question that you're actually the jerk here and causing everybody to treat you this way.
Well, that's one part of it. There's another part that I've realized that's also been hard for me, is how many times I've been manipulated in my life. How many times outside, and we'll call them outside beings or demonic forces, parasitic entities, have actually manipulated my mind and manipulated the choices I was going to make. I'm thinking it's me making this decision, and it's not. It's a parasitic entity. And so that's something that also has to be really kept in the back of our heads, is that sometimes people make decisions, and this can help sometimes when you feel you've been wronged by somebody and you don't understand why did they act that way. They always seem to be a pretty nice guy. Well, that could have been the moment their guard was down and some sort of entity pushed them in a way that they don't normally go. And even the person themselves after would be saying, well, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I said that. So we also have to dig into all of these layers and elements of why we do what we do, why we act the way we act, and who or what is pulling the strings for us. How many times, we all like to think we have free will, but when we really break it down, how many times in our life have we truly had free will? Have we truly actually acted from our deepest true self, our deepest true desire? And how many of our actions have had some form of, I don't want to use the word manipulation, it's not the right word, some form of conditioning at least, layered over it, that it was something else, in a sense, robotically making choices for us, not really us, more than we'd like to imagine.
Yes. It's so much easier to see it in other people.
Of course.
That mirror of truth. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is so challenging, because as you begin to work through this material, and again, like for anyone listening, this is a thesis, right? I can't prove how our creation is. I can't prove that the Gnostics are right. I can't prove that the Cathars are right. I can't prove that the pyramid texts are right. But they seem, what they present matches a lot of my life experience and the life experience of people who've been close to me throughout my life. And I'm leaning more and more that they're on the right track. They're on the right direction for it. And Freeman brought up earlier this idea of this constant Armageddon. Like, constantly through our history, people have always at some point felt like the world is going to end. And we're in another point like that again now, and I think that's true. But it's not ending in it's literally the current frame that is going on. The current system of energy ends, and a new system is put in place. If you consider that this place is a type of solar farm, an energy farm, and the demiurges, you might say, and the archons are working on a system of energy extraction, of course there will come times when they start to say, you know what, we're not getting enough energy. We're needing more and more power, we're not getting it. We need to restructure the realm. We need to restructure this whole game. That's where the our journeys, I think, is quite helpful. And if you start seeing that we're going through the Great Reset now, and it is happening, and it is going to happen, but it's not about anything else. It's not about anything else. When you see it's about the extraction of humans into what you might call the computer system of reality. It would make sense, because now what wants to happen, right? They want to merge humans with AI, humans with robots, and that would make sense. If you have an energy extraction machine, sort of being extracted from the human to the machine. If you can plug the human into the machine, you would automatically gain more energy automatically, because there will be no loss of the movement of the energy, or if you think of it as heat, from the human to the machine. So as we begin to see what's really going on here is going to be a restructuring of the harvesting of energy of all of the beings of the planet, we actually start to understand what's really going on. And when we understand what's really going on, if we can be 2 steps ahead of it, we can actually navigate around it.
Yes, yes, and which makes me think of the power of no. Like, and so often it seems that this is inevitable, but yet, the times for people to find their own true inner power is lost. Do you have methods that people could start to use to try to find their inner power?
Right, but that will, this is again my opinion on all this, but generally that will start to get lost because once people begin to find a bit of their inner power, the first thing they do is go back outside with it. It's look at the world and say, oh yeah, the world is bad, it's crazy, and I need to fix it. I need to change it. I need to make it better. So all of a sudden that energy is being thrown back out into the world without really understanding what the world is. I mean, if this reality is only set up as a harvesting energy source, if it's set up as a realm of suffering, if that's really what it is, and this is something everyone needs to honestly ask themselves and look into. Don't trust me or believe me. Find out the answer for yourself one way or another. But don't start, in my opinion, don't start throwing out a bunch of energy trying to fix a world that you don't know might not be able to be fixed. If the whole thing is set up to be just suffering and energy stealing, then to throw all your energy trying to change it will do absolutely nothing.
Throwing your
Instead,
soul
it'll
into a
then be-
meat grinder. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you're just throwing more energy into the system. You're actually making it worse. The difference would be like, okay, then how do I extract myself from the entire system? I don't need to change it. The system can do what it wants, but it's just like the PayPal example you gave at the beginning of the show. Once everybody started canceling their PayPal accounts, so people's energy were no longer going into PayPal, they now started running into huge trouble. And that's the same thing. I think rather than trying to change the demiurge's world, trying to change reality, it's what happens if we unplug from it? What happens if we stop giving the realm energy and we keep the energy individually for ourselves or in small groups of who we are connected with and working with? In a sense, we're changing our small environment. We're changing where we are, where we live, how we interact, who we interact with. And we don't even worry too much about the dream. And I think that's a huge element because that is as big a trap as anything else. That idea, I'm going to fix the world. And then people go out for 5 years and then they come back and like, oh, that didn't work out too well. And it's like, no, and they're tired, they're exhausted, they're run down, as opposed to, but now you've got access to all this energy from what you've seen and how you've changed your perception back to your own power. What can you really do with that has a true impact on your totality, on yourself, and maybe on a few people close to you? To me, I think that has great power when you go from fixing everything to fixing my own personal environment.
Well said. Yes, absolutely. So when we get to the point of why is this creation here? And can we fix God's mistake?
Yeah.
Like, we get to that point. We start to realize that this creation actually is just a soul sucker for the archons. And we are just simply feeding this beast. We are cattle in a pen. And we can see that in people as they go about their day-to-day lives, as you watch them come off the subway. I mean, it doesn't look that much different than the cattle just being led straight to the slaughterhouse. Nobody's happy, right? I mean, it's not a joyful world here.
No, there are elements of it. I've had many periods in my life where I've enjoyed myself. I've had fun. I've had very loving experiences. I've appreciated them. I'm glad when they appear. But like anything, I know this realm is not designed for that to be continuous. And so many spiritual traditions, I think, have become set up in such a way to, of course, make a lot of money. The spiritual tradition now, it's a spiritual marketplace. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they sell happiness. And they try to sell extended happiness. And they try to sell ways in which you, in a sense, stay in a place of, and I'm going to call it more denial than happiness. Because if you shut out all of this stuff, if you shut out reality the way it really is, and kind of keep yourself in a denial box, you can actually feel okay. You can actually feel not bad. And okay, that's fine for a while. That's fine for a few months or a few years or even a few decades.
Hold
Then you're
still.
gonna die. And is all of that experience going to really help you in the transition phase when there's the possibility that this is a place where a whole bunch of archons are going to be tricking and deceiving you and getting you to come back to live another life of the same suffering. I also bring up in the book this idea of, and this is so difficult, is so many people out there who have a lot of knowledge. And a lot of teachers that I looked at in my life, and like, yeah, they know a lot, they understand a lot, or a lot of knowledge of oneness, or absolute reality, but they don't know anything about this deception. They don't know anything about traps and archons and after death realms. And I realized, you know what's going to happen? All of these people that I looked up to for a long, long time, they're going to die, they're going to get hurt, they're going to follow the light. They're going to be reincarnated, they're going to be right back here. And all of the work they did in this life, all of the advancement they think they made will be gone, and they'll be starting back from day one again. So, I think it's only for myself. So if I put in all of this work, all of this time in my life, I want to make sure that I apply it 100% to go home. I don't want to have to deal with another memory life, coming back here ignorant, and starting all over again. This is my opportunity. I'm putting a lot of work, a lot of effort, and seeing things. It's my opportunity to take the money at this point. Go home. You know, you can do it once. The party can keep going. You know, 3 a.m. and everyone's still drunk and they're still trying to get me to have a few drinks. It's fine. I'm going home and that's it. And maybe what I like and what I'm talking about will resonate with a few other people who are at a similar place and say, yeah, I'm ready to go home too. I'm ready to do that. And I think this is a great opportunity for all of us to be a large group.
I am at peace with what I have accomplished here in this realm. I'm ready. No problems, no regrets, no shoulda, woulda, coulda, which will absolutely eat your soul. I don't know if you guys go through shoulda, woulda, coulda, but man, that's the worst thought and feeling.
Oh my god, I can't believe it.
That's what these archons feed on, right?
Yeah, and that's why I talked about the recapitulation as well in my book. It's the importance of really going into your life to know it really, really well. So you're not holding that regret. You're not holding the guilt. You're not holding the shame. You've seen things honestly. You've seen yourself honestly. You've seen how difficult things have transformed you. You've seen how you've grown. But there's all of those, like you say, that sucking, terrible, heavy energy is not there, because they're gonna try to throw a life review at you after you die. And if you're not fully unknowing of your life, then there's gonna be surprises and there's gonna be tricks, and they're gonna try to play the guilt game on you. And like you say, if you can be in a place where you can say, I'm okay with my life, I'm okay with how I lived, I'm okay with what I've done. Yeah, I would have done a few things differently, but that's how it turned out. I learned from it. I think you're in a great starting point, because that guilt and shame is one of the number one hooks to being tricked to coming back here.
Do you think that's what the old elite are doing out at Bohemian Grove with their cremation of care? At least that's their desire. We're going to cremate care so that we can escape this reincarnation cycle.
No, I don't think they can escape. I think, in a sense, most of them are soulless now. They're either robotic creatures, archons themselves, who have manifested into the realm, or they are They did have souls originally at one time in some life, and they sold their soul. Everything is a commodity. Everything is technically for sale. So the soul, because it is
Anyone want a
part
super
of this
shaggy
false
sandwich?
reality, it's a combination of essence and energy. So it's not pure essence. So it can be sold. So my feeling is once you do that, once you become like Cypher in the Matrix, and that's what he was doing with Smith, right? He was selling his soul to return back into the Matrix. And once you do that, that means you can never leave. You are now a part of the Matrix forever. And the only time anything ends is when the simulation ends. So their whole purpose now for their own existence is to make sure the simulation keeps running. So if you start to see the sort of elites and the minions in that way, that we can call them evil, but really what's going on is they're just fighting for their own survival from the standpoint of recognizing the simulation has to keep going. It has to keep generating the power it needs, because if the power ever shut off, or if you might say a bug ever gets into the system and the thing has to get shut down, they end, they die. But those with souls, if the simulation shuts down, highly likely will leave automatically at that point anyway, because the trap will end. When the simulation ends, the trap ends at the same time. So I think that's more of it. It's somehow designed to actually keep the simulation running. That's really what their whole purpose is. And our purpose is to either end it or just leave it. And of course, every time one of us leaves, we help everyone else. This is the amazing thing, because while we're here, we're still giving power to the simulation. We're still giving power to this whole city. Each individual essence that returns home means there's one less essence of power in this place. It's getting closer to the moment of, or actually, it sounds like it's being selfish. Yeah, I'm going home, I'm just leaving here. But actually, by leaving here, I'm helping actually everyone else with you, because there's less power going. It becomes harder for everything involved, all the outcomes to keep it going.
Oh, shit.
This gives a whole new meaning to the great reset. That's for sure. I want to pick up on that thought on the other side. Let's tell everybody about Exit the Cave. You now have exitfromthecave.com, where people can come and sign up for your newsletter to get all the information. And of course, Egyptian-wisdomrevealed.com is your primary site. Is that where people grab your books?
Yeah, right now it's still only there. It's an PDF ebook. I wanted to have it out early. So if you go to Egyptian-wisdomrevealed.com, just Google my name. Exit the Cave will come up there, and you can make a decision like you. I have changed to a new payment service, and the Stripe as well. And then you can get and you can get the. I wanted it out early because I wasn't sure that looking at
the world, man.
Exactly. When I started writing this in April, and I realized I don't know if I can wait till November or December to have something ready. I'm not going to change it to what it's going to be like. So my goal was September the 3rd to have something ready, which I have. The print book is almost done now. We should have that out in a week or two. So if you really want a print book, we should have that in a couple of weeks. You can check in on my website and the YouTube channel. You'll put them on that side. And then hopefully get an audio book. A lot of people have asked to also have an audio book. Yeah, so that's where that's available. And it's for sure I know it's a challenge. It was a challenge, and it was wonderful. It was a challenge for me to write it. And I'm always open to hearing opinions or ideas and suggestions, different ways of looking at it. Because again, I'm looking ahead to writing a second book. This is like my foundation starting book. If everything allows me to, I'd like to have a second book with a deeper look at all this over the next May or next June.
We're going to need that knowledge, guys. We are going to get into your death action plan. We're going to get into mind transfer technology, and we're going to get into our own personal experience out of body. It's not all about power of near death or even almost dying, if that's the same as near death. I don't know. But there's lots of lessons to be learned, and a couple of 50-year-old men here, we're pretty much got the experience that you're going to be able to gain over this time. And hopefully we can share that with you, because it does take a lifetime to learn all these lessons again. And so, yes, if you think that reincarnation is your karmic return so that you could just come back in some blissful world, well, look around. What did you do last life to deserve this? That's what I got to know. But I hope you guys will go over to EgyptianWisdomRevealed.com with hyphens and get this and get deeper to find your own inner power, because this is critical to right now to accept. You've got to go through these stages of grief. Like I was saying, the awakening to the world is like finding out that you're dying. It's the same feelings. It's all your hopes and dreams dashed, and you have to go through these stages of grief up to acceptance. But once you get to acceptance and you can stay within that, and you can then perpetuate that sensation for yourself, with yourself, and not worry about trying to go save the world, then maybe you could get out of this cycle if you're not following. Please come on over to freemantv.com and subscribe to get all the bonus and keep this show going. I hope you guys know that this is on every podcast player out there, of course, banned from YouTube, but now putting all the old videos up on Rockfin. I really want to revamp freemantv.com because it needs some work. But not only that, it really doesn't include all of my work, right? I've been so disjointed and thrown away into different places that now the only way for you to get all of my work is to say to go buy the flash drive, which would give you all the podcasts, sign up for Rockfin to get you the videos. And so it's all very disjointed right now. I hope to be able to recollect as they, scattered me to the winds, So hopefully I can recollect all that. But for now, you can keep up on freemantv.com or every podcast player out there, Spotify, Stitcher, Android, Google, all of it. The free zone is there. Just put Freeman Fly and boom, there you are. But I want to thank you all, and I especially need to thank old Steve Mercer, associate producer here, for keeping the ball rolling, keeping these wonderful people coming your way. So please, any help you can give Steve, give him a note over at producersteve@freemantv.com. And of course, you can always contact me, freeman@freemantv.com. And my one social network left to me is my Twitter, so you can find me at FreemanTV. So, Freedom TV is pretty much what you need to know. But yes, let's get to your death action plan. Let's start thinking about our death, and let's think about what is I. This is another big question. We're going to get into all of this in the second hour. I hope you guys have gained a lot from this. This was an important message for now. And absolutely giving a whole new meaning as reality is being reset. So we will